fellow toasters, space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Those words were the basis for my Friday nights. I sat with my mother as we watched Captain Kirk and the crew of the Enterprise exploring all kinds of strange worlds and people who came from other planets and other solar systems. But little did I know that a lot of this was going to be real. It was July 20th, 1969. I had just gotten out of 5th grade and moving into 6th. My sister Cindy was about to have a birthday, and my mother was pregnant with my youngest sister, who was to be born in November. We were watching the news as we usually do, and we gathered around the TV, and I figured out that something special was going to happen. And that something special was what I thought Star Trek was going to be real. I begged my parents to let me stay awake. Let me watch TV. And finally, after a lot of begging and pleading, that my parents relented, and they let me and my sisters gather around the TV set for this very special event. At the news desk was the most trusted man in America, Walter Cronkite. I can look now and find out who is he really the most trusted man in America. I thought so, or at least I think so now, because he just had this matter-of-fact way about reporting the news. But when I looked at the screen, I noticed that he had a very special look in his eyes. He was excited, and brought that excitement to us as we were about to watch the final frontier come to life. That evening, we were watching intently as the lunar module came down upon the moon and ended at Tranquility Base. The doors opened, and Neil Armstrong stepped out, one step at a time. Those famous words, those famous 4 words, "The Eagle has landed." I just sat there awestruck. Somebody is on the moon? We can do this? Wow! And then Mr. Armstrong uttered another set of famous words. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. And it really was a giant leap, because we never imagined that we would be living the final frontier. I also watched intently as President Nixon was sitting in the Oval Office and calling the astronauts on the moon. And I had a lot of questions going through my head at the time, and wondered, well, how can President Nixon get to call the astronauts on the moon? How does that phone call get there from the Earth to the moon? I tried to ask my dad about that, my dad being very engineering tech-minded. And he was trying to explain to me, but I still didn't quite understand. What I did understand was that this was a part of history, and it contributed to my sense of adventure. And I still have that sense of adventure today, whether it be cooking a new dish or going off on my own wanderlust. We have more steps to make, and the mission will continue. On Toastmaster.